Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. My name is Don and I'm a third-year student at Liberty University. Today I want to talk to you about chaplains. As a Marine Corps recruit, 3 days into boot camp at Marine Corps Recruiting Depot, San Diego, California, I woke on Sunday morning, showered and shaved and formed up with the rest of my platoon. And then I volunteered to be the Protestant lay leader for my platoon. I marched several men, including myself, to the base chapel where once inside I felt a familiarity and a peace that I hadn't felt since I left home. Then the base chaplain from the pulpit said something that caused the tears that I'd been fighting back to fall freely. He said, "Hang in there, man. God and I are both with you." You see, chaplains, though unheralded, are a very valuable part of the evangelical society that offers rewards that extend far beyond the sanctuary or the battlefield into the hearts and souls of men and women, in many cases far from home and who are in need of a friend. As previously stated, I know and understand how it feels to find myself in a strange place or a foreign land, and the chaplains assigned to my command were the friends, the advisors, and the spiritual counselors I needed. If you have an opportunity to give thanks and pray for a family member serving in our nation's armed forces, give thanks and pray also for the chaplains within their commands, and ask God to bless as well as keep safe both of them. In the time remaining, I will endeavor to bring you a greater awareness of who chaplains are. First, by identifying how one qualifies to be a chaplain. Second, to identify the responsibilities of a chaplain. And finally, to identify the places where they might serve. So how does one qualify to be a chaplain? First, they have to be a U.S. citizen. Second, they have to hold a BA or BS degree with no less than 120 semester hours from a qualified educational institution. They must also hold a post-baccalaureate degree of not less than 72 semester hours in theological or related studies. Their ecclesiastical endorsements must come from a religious faith organization registered with the Department of Defense. And finally, they must be either male or female. Now, let us look at what a chaplain does. Chaplains provide religious ministry support to those of their own faith. They facilitate the religious requirements of those of other faiths. They care for all service members and their families, including those subscribing to no faith at all. Chaplains also advise their commands to ensure the free exercise of religion. Okay, where might a chaplain serve? They might serve, work, and live right alongside their congregation in what is known as a ministry of presence. They might also serve on bases either stateside or overseas. They might serve on ships, both large and small, and in the field. They also might serve, and you could say they can serve just about anywhere in the world. They serve anywhere where God needs them. As an example of that, Chaplain Daniel Hardin served in the Iraq War with the 25th Infantry Division, and while riding in a vehicle that was destroyed when it struck an improvised explosive device, he sustained some great injuries. But none greater than the injury to his spiritual confidence. Later he would say, "God is near even when I don't sense him." He's not so much interested in keeping us from the harm as he is in delivering us from the harm. In other words, seeing us through the harm. He says, all people, including those of spiritual faith and in leadership roles, experience pain and suffering because they are human, just like we are. And they live in a fallen world. Chaplains serve despite the danger. On a sad note, NBCnews.com had this report. A chaplain who died in Afghanistan this week was the first clergyman killed in combat since the Vietnam conflict. The report went on to say Army Captain Dale Goots of the 4th Infantry Division was killed when their armored vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb in the southern region of Afghanistan. Goots was in a convoy traveling from one forward outpost to another, where he would counsel soldiers. Now we know a little bit more about who chaplains are and what they do. As you have just witnessed, chaplains are men and women of faith who continue to respond to God's calling while answering a call of duty to their country. They are educated and trained spiritual leaders committed to the advancement of the gospel, as well as caring for God's people. Chaplains go where the combat soldiers go, though they are considered non-combatants. They serve on land and sea and are deployed to bases and stations all around the world. They also serve in boot camps, where they encourage new recruits, just like I was all those years ago. Do you have a family member, or do you know a family member who's serving our country today? Do you know someone who has a family member who serves? Even if you don't, men and women with concerned family members serve our country in some rather difficult and challenging situations. And it's their chaplains who guide, encourage, and attend to their spiritual well-being. Pray for these chaplains as you lift up prayers for all the men and women serving the United States. Thank you very much.